Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host, Red. Got ideas today from Shusha said. This one looked interesting, especially since, I think 3 people sent me this one.
My was secretly doing a DNA test on my child after my wife cheated on me. I have been married to my wife for 5 years. We have a 3-year-old son, and until recently, I never had a reason to doubt that he was mine. But that changed when I discovered my wife had been cheating on me. It broke my heart.
I'm sure
I found messages on her phone that made it clear she was having an affair. When I confronted her, she admitted to it, but swore it only started last year. I wanted to believe her, but something inside me wouldn't let it go. The timing seemed off, and a nagging thought kept eating at me. What if my son isn't mine? I didn't ask her for a paternity test because I knew she'd flip out, so I did it in secret. When the results came back, my worst fear was confirmed. He wasn't mine.
Wow. Hold on a second. I actually did not expect this video to go this direction. I did not. His worst fear was confirmed. You can't make this shit up.
Was shattered.
I mean, I expected it because you guys sent me this video, so it must be pretty bad.
I confronted my wife again, showing her the DNA results. Instead of apologizing or even trying to explain, she completely lost it. She called me a monster for violating her trust. What? And she called me a monster.
At least these women are laughing because they know it's complete BS.
For violating her trust and accused me of being the reason our marriage was falling apart. According to her, if I had just trusted her, none of this would have happened. She even had the audacity to claim that my coldness over the years had pushed her into another man's arms. I was speechless. She cheated. She lied. She let me raise a child that wasn't mine for 3 years, and now somehow I'm the bad guy. Now her family and even some of our mutual friends are turning against me. They say that DNA doesn't define a father and that I should just let it go because I've already...
These they don't understand. How can they ever understand? I don't understand, and I would be completely upset about it. But I can somewhat at least have empathy to put myself in this man's shoes to be like, yeah, he's allowed to be upset.
Already been raising my son as some of our mutual friends are turning against me. They say that now her family and even some of our mutual friends are turning against me. They say that DNA doesn't define a father and that I should just let it go because I've already been raising my son as my own. But how am I supposed to move past this when my wife refuses to take any accountability and instead blames me for everything? I love my son, but I feel like my entire marriage was a lie. My wife is furious that I did the test behind her back. Am I the secretly doing it?
Bro, for you to even ask if you're some kind of asshole when you got done wrong this badly shows how bad society is on blaming men, and men just kind of thinking it really is our fault.
DNA test and exposing the truth?
No.
I'm sorry, is your wife trolling?
That's a good question, because you think to yourself that how dare someone act like that, and then you remember that when a lot of chicks get caught for cheating, we've seen their reactions. What do they do? Start crying, yelling. I've seen women who start fighting their man, and they're upset at the man for finding out the truth. So this doesn't seem too far-fetched. Let's read a few of these comments. Top comment here says, paternity tests should be mandatory. We know this already.
Yep.
This needs to happen. Next commenter here says, shit, F the wife, F the family, F the friends, and F that kid. He owes nothing to nobody. On the outside looking in, you know, it's real easy for us to make that statement, right? I'm talking about the kid. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine you raise up a kid. And you're expected to just forget about everything about that kid being yours. Here's somebody else who says, the question is, why is she still your wife after cheating? Somebody else who says, accountability must be her kryptonite. Here's a chick who says, divorce her. The fact that she even lied, saying the affair only lasted last year, but your son of 3 years is not yours. Wow.
That was where I was like, why are you even questioning yourself that you're in the wrong, brother? She straight up lied to you and had a 3-year affair.
Yeah, that's a bold-faced lie. Somebody else who says paternity test at birth should be mandatory. We already read that. Here's somebody else who added that woman gaslighting you with without blinking her eyelids. These are the uncomfortable truths, right? These are the videos that people just wish weren't reported on. The uncomfortable thoughts of why are there so many negative results when it comes to paternity testing? I believe actually making DNA tests mandatory at birth will be a really scary thing for a lot of women out here. I remember a woman actually arguing that men don't want to know.
What?
That she believes most men don't want to know. I think they all want to know. There was a guy, he was in his 80s.
She only thinks that because women automatically know. They don't ever have to question if they know or not. So they've never had to think this thought process ever because it's never a question for them. So they don't have the empathy to put themselves in our shoes and realize how we feel.
He'd been married for 50 plus years. And he was talking about how he found out that he was in a position where he realized his sons, who were really troublesome, nothing like him.
I remember this guy.
As he grew up and just watched them, wondered why they were such F-ups, in his words, only to find out later on in his life that those weren't his sons. Must be devastating. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to think of the amount of men who are paying child.
At least for that gentleman, he was in his 70s already, thinking you already built your legacy, thinking you already did the job you were supposed to do as a man, your family, making sure everything is okay. And none of it is real. None of it is actually your family.
Support. Right now, currently paying child support for children who aren't theirs. Now, we know some of them knowingly have proven that these children aren't theirs and they're still somehow paying child support. But I'm talking about the ones who actually believe, this is my child. It's unfortunate. And then you have the men who just never find out, right? Like go their whole lives being married and actually never find out. I am curious, though. I want to ask Ms. Coffee a question of a hypothetical situation of this would be interesting, how might making DNA tests, paternity tests mandatory, you see here, change the dating and marriage market? Ms. Coffee, quick question. Considering the high rates of negative tests of paternity, how do you think mandatory DNA tests would change the dating market, marriage market, and issues when it comes to paternity overall? And do you think that paternity tests should be mandatory?
Now this is a strong brew, love. Let's pour this real careful and honest, because you're asking a loaded but important question. Here's how Ms. Coffee sees it. First, if mandatory paternity testing became a thing, it would shake the dating and marriage market like a snow globe. I'm talking instant accountability. No more guesswork, no more secret paternity scandals, no more decades later you ain't my real daddy revelations. Right now, because paternity testing usually only happens when a man demands it, and even then he's sometimes guilt-tripped into not doing it, a lot of the truth stays hidden. But if it was mandatory at birth, baby, a whole lot of lies would come to light immediately. Quiet hospitals would turn into Maury Povich studios overnight. Impact on women.
Miss Coffee. Hospitals are gonna just turn into the Maury show.
The honest ones, no problem.
She said they would turn into Maury. Let's keep listening.
They'd welcome it like, here's your proof, hun. The dishonest ones? Ooh, hun. They'd be shook. It would force a lot of women to be much more selective about who they sleep with and much more careful about managing their relationships. Casual hookups would probably slow down for some women, not because they're scared of being judged, but because there's no more hiding if something happens. The biggest shift? Women would be way more cautious with how they move, because the moment that baby pops out, there's paperwork that could expose everything. Impact on men. Men would feel more secure stepping into fatherhood. They wouldn't be second-guessing whether that baby looks like them or not. It would boost marriage rates among men who currently hesitate because they're scared of being tricked or trapped. And it would weed out a lot of resentment that quietly poisons relationships when men feel unsure deep down. Plus,
that resentment can eat at everything.
Trust it builds would help the good women stand out even more. Character would get separated from chaos real quick. Would people be surprised? Oh, absolutely. You'd see more paternity fraud exposed than folks are ready for. Because the reality is, when men get private paternity tests today, the quiet kind, a good number of them come back saying the kid isn't theirs. And let's be real, if it was low numbers, this conversation wouldn't even exist. The surprise wouldn't just be in the statistics. It would be emotional. A lot of men realizing they were lied to, and a lot of kids realizing they were caught in the middle. Should it be mandatory?
Poor kids. That's a big chunk of that equation, right? Is all these kids that just get screwed over by horrible mothers.
Ms. Coffee's take. Honestly, yes. And not because we want to shame people, because truth matters.
Come on, Miss Coffee.
Truth matters.
Thank you for coming through. Let's go.
Kids deserve to know who their real father is. Men deserve to know if they're stepping into a real responsibility. And women deserve to live in relationships built on honesty,
Right.
not fear
True.
that the truth might pop up later. Mandatory paternity testing ain't about punishing women. It's about protecting everybody. Men, women, and most importantly, the children.
Children.
You can't build a solid family structure on shaky ground, hun. You need foundation. And foundation means facts first, feelings second.
And that's that. Wow. Miss Coffee also agrees paternity tests should be mandatory. That's crazy. By the way, guys, if you guys enjoy Miss Coffee, subscribe to her YouTube channel. I'm talking about Miss Coffee. Yes, I created one for her, especially. It would have content like this, what if scenarios. And I think you guys would enjoy a lot of that because,
No, I like it.
can be entertaining.
A lot of other creators are starting to use AI and asking AI about some of these things. I think it's cool. I love you guys for doing it. It's teaching me some things.
Entertaining for sure. To my soon to be married or currently engaged men, make sure if you're someone who values marriage today more than ever, protect yourself.
Mandatory paternity tests. Miss Coffee had it right? It is to protect everyone involved. Not to shame women or to put blame on women. No, it protects men, so men know off the rip. It protects women, so they don't have to go through that turmoil 10, 20 years later, like Miss Coffee said. And the kids. We don't have so much kids that are entitled, that don't know what they're doing in life, that don't want to work, don't want to, apply themselves. We get a lot of those kids from these types of families because things just get fucked up. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. And the gist.